got some people showing up. So glad you guys joined for the live. Thank you. Again, I apologize because I forgot to schedule this one out. It wasn't until I read comments today that I realized I was forgetting to do this. So if you have questions about your chart, it's a small group today. You guys get center stage. So whatever questions you have or things you need answered about astrology, let me know in the chat box. But as I was saying about Lilith, it's really crazy how much people don't like. You really need to know both aspects of every placement, but specifically Lilith, in the sense that knowing the sign your Lilith is in will tell you what your so to say, like, what energies you struggle with the most. Whereas the house it's in really tells you where it'll show up the most for you. And I think the houses are an aspect of each planetary placement that is often underestimated and avoided, which is normal because it's a lot to take in a chart. And so looking at the houses is not something we necessarily think to do at first. But once we have a grasp of the signs, then looking to the houses can be really impactful because it shows us where it's going to show up. And a lot of times we can look at, let's say, for the example of Lilith, I have a Lilith in Gemini, and that means that there's strong feelings of shame around being basically a chatty Cathy. I do not shut up. And in a lot of areas of my life, I don't feel this shame. It's just, that's great. I know I do that. But specifically it's in my 7th house, which is one-on-one partnerships. So I will catch more often that it's not that I feel shame around general being communicative and social. It's that mine is in it shows up the most for me in my relationships, which is way different. So knowing both is extremely important. So if you haven't looked into both of what the combination means, you can let me know in the chat box here what your combination is, like what sign and house, and I can give you a little bit on what that means. I've also had this insane annoying cough for like 2 weeks now, it feels, and it won't go away. So I apologize. Sorry, not sorry. Blame it on the star somehow. Mercury's in Gatorade, and so that's why I have a cough. So, double. That's right, because you're an Aries rising, Metalheads Tarot, Eric. I remember this from our reading together. Scorpio 8th house is double whammy energy because each house is associated with a different zodiac sign. And the 8th house is Scorpio or associated with Scorpio. So Scorpio Lilith would generally indicate shame around feeling Scorpio energy, being mysterious, being passionate, being obsessive, just throwing yourself fully into anything you do. And for you, it's specifically when it comes to shadow work and intimacy. So maybe in your intimate relationships, you feel the desire to dive deep, to investigate your partner, to see what lurks in the shadows, but you feel that this is something wrong for you to do. However, one thing for everyone to keep in mind is that Lilith is not only our shame, but it's also our place of power, because hopefully you've watched the videos. You've probably seen it already. Like I said, most people end up finding my channel through the Lilith videos. And Lilith was named, this planetary placement or spot is named after the first wife of Adam, Lilith, and the idea that she was an extremely powerful woman but not passive enough for Adam. And so what did they do? They throw her out of the world and replace her with a more passive Eve. And so Lilith in us all represents this place of power, but we feel that we're going to be rejected for it. So it's possible that with a Scorpio 8th house Lilith, there's this deep and intense energy to you, specifically in your intimate relationships, but you feel that the more you embrace that might lead to rejection. And if you don't feel that, it's possible that you feel very healed in this and you just own it. My chat box is all glitching and stacking on top of each other. Oh, there we go. Kind of true. That's like the best part about astrology, when you're like, that's true. Anyway, let's move on. Let's ignore that. I felt like when I discovered my Lilith, it was kind of that moment, like, yes, true. Moving on, please. Let's talk about something else now. That's true. Can't get rejected if no one talks to you. You know, that's also the gift of having a Lilith in 8th house. Eighth house energy is often thought of as just intimate relationships, but uh it's also intimacy with ourselves. It's shadow work, often referred to as. And so with a Lilith in eighth house in Scorpio, not only do you want to be deep in relationship with others, but it also means that you can just practice this with yourself. Mm. So that was like about Lilith. I can go on talking about Lilith, but do you guys have any other questions about upcoming transits or chart aspects or how you can use your chart for sense of purpose? Because I found recently I was looking through my readings again, and I offer two different kinds of readings. If you guys don't know, I have the basic reading and then the self revolution call. And I think a lot of people have not been paying attention to the self revolution call, partially because it's a little pricier, but still way more impactful than the beginner's call. If anything, I started off this channel with just doing the self revolution call, and I eventually added in a 30-minute just for I with the intention for those who know nothing about the chart. But then more and more this 30-minute reading's been booked, and it's a great reading. It's an opportunity for those who can want to just ask away. But I started off this channel with the idea that I was looking into my own astrology, and just because I was trying to find answers to bigger life questions, not necessarily because I was curious about stars, but I was looking for what my sense of purpose was, why I feel that I always struggle, where my struggles were coming from. And astrology answered those questions for me. And it helped me find a sense of purpose. It helped me realize what the source of my struggles was. It helped me find solutions to those struggles, how to manifest so much more. Really the purpose aspect. Not even so much in like there's like the 2-dimensional and the 5-dimensional, or the 3 and the 5-dimensional idea of purpose, in the sense of what you choose your purpose to be based off of your human talents and gifts, and also the idea of your soul's purpose, why you were put here on earth. And astrology has really given me the answer to both. And uh, that's why I started off with the self revolution call, was to answer those questions for people after finding the answers in my own chart. So, one, if you are curious to learn more about your own soul's purpose, just book a self revolution call. I'll put it in the link in the description below, and I'll just put it in the chat box while I'm thinking of it. Uh, Again, even if you've already booked a 30-minute reading, or if you haven't done any readings, I do recommend the self revolution call for everyone, because this is where we look for solutions to problems using astrology. Or we oftentimes, I feel that I've even gotten to this point too, that there's times where I've looked at my chart in my astrology and I just get caught up in the details. It's probably my Virgo energy or my Gemini energy. And just thinking about, okay, let me understand Gemini to the fullest, or Aries. And I forget about how it ties into the big picture of living a good life. And so in the self revolution call, we really take that step back, look at the big picture of the chart and the details to apply to how you can use it to live a greater life or live a more fulfilling life. If you're feeling blocked in any way, that's what the self revolution calls for. So, if you don't understand though still what I'm saying with the idea of purpose in astrology, just let me know more questions, or like what thoughts are coming up for you in the chat box. Did you turn it down? I don't know much about my birth chart, don't know much about astrology, just started going back to it when my videos popped up. Save for a crisis you're having. So you don't have to know a lot about astrology to book either of the readings with me. The whole point, I say that the self revolution call is more for diving deep into the chart, but it's still great for beginners because I apply it to whatever knowledge base you have. And the point, again, it's just tying the self revolution call is about using astrology to live a better life. And so whether you're a beginner or intermediate or advanced astrologer or using astrology, the self revolution call is just tying it back to the basis of living a good life. Whereas the 30-minute call is more so about just getting astrology questions answered. The self revolution call is where we apply it to living, because we are living human breathing beings on Earth. We are not living on Jupiter. We are not just, it's where we have lives, we have jobs. And that's what the self revolution call is, to help us tie in this astrology information of what's going on in the stars to actually implement into our lives and live better. So you don't have to know a lot about astrology to book the self revolution call. I highly encourage those actually who don't know about a lot about astrology to book a self revolution call, because it starts you off on the right foot of whether you know a lot or you don't know a lot, you can just use astrology to implement into your life to live a better life. And that's what I'm truly passionate about here at Be the Hero. And that's pretty much why I started this channel, was just to teach people and help people understand how I've used astrology to live a better life. Mm. I'm still so glad that you loved your and seeing your comments, Eric, about how much you liked the call. Doing the reading with you was great, and there's so much we dived into. I just remember pulling your chart and going and meeting you, and it was very intriguing, as I say with really all of my readings. But I'm glad that you found it as insightful as I found it intriguing to do. You did ask about Venus going direct, and I did do a video today covering this, more about Venus direct, which was in the daily report. But generally, with Venus going direct, this is a time for us to move our energy forward. And we've been reflecting on what gives us a love for life and what do we need to do in our love life. And with Venus going direct, after all that reflection, now we can put that into implementation. We can implement it, we can act on it. We're deciding what direction we want to go and how we can really embody the lion within, because Venus is direct in Leo, and Leo is the lion. It represents our playfulness, our courage that we can all embrace. So it can be a time for us with, now that Venus goes direct today, this is a opportunity and the beginning of a cycle for us around learning to be more authentic, learning to be more courageous, and learning to be more playful at the same time. I highly recommend, I covered this all in my video today, so I highly recommend you guys just watch the daily astrology report, where I covered basically the entire time what it means for Venus to be going direct. But I will have a video published soon on Venus going direct. Unfortunately, not today, but soon. All right, guys. Do you guys have any last questions before I hop off of this live? I know it's a little shorter than I normally do, but I am having to travel soon, and I want to get your guys's daily astrology reports filmed before I am traveling. So, any last questions? Let me know in the chat box. Again, I highly encourage everyone to book a self revolution reading if they haven't already, because especially with Venus going direct, we are finally ready to implement the knowledge we've been reflecting on. And the self revolution call is a lot about learning how to implement your chart to live a life of joy and live in alignment with what your chart indicates will bring you a sense of purpose and fulfillment. So if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling confused, lost, not knowing what direction to go, if you don't believe that there is a direction you should go, then book the self revolution reading. I would love to see you guys there. And not only does the self revolution reading cover astrology, but it also ties in numerology and your Enneagram, so that you can see the whole picture of who you are, what your purpose is, what your limitations will be, what's holding you back from living a life of fulfillment. So, book it. Would love to see you there. Would love to chat with you. Anyway, so thanks guys for joining me for this live. Really appreciate you being here. And apologies for the people who are jumping in now for questions. I will answer questions next Sunday, like I said, I'm going to try to do this every Sunday, probably from 11 to 11:30. So stay tuned for the next live next Sunday. And if you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, subscribe and turn on post notifications to be updated on the latest astrology reports. Once again, my name's Isabel. Thanks for joining. And from my heart to yours, namaste. Bye.